Well, folks, I have to tell you about how good it can make you feel when you know that someone's out there.
All right. We bring you a brand new show that I like to call BodyNSoul Radio. I go by the name of Slatter. I got my co-host in here with me today, Mr. Royce. How you doing today? All right.
I'm feeling good, sir. Let's do it.
All right. We got a very special guest in the building today. I go by the name of Rhetoryk. Can you hear me out there, Rhetoryk? You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm feeling good.
All right. Third floor in the building. Shout out to the stink over there in the background. Can you hear me out there? We good?
Yeah.
Sir. Hey, Jermaine's D on the Cannon. Shout out to Pro Style Studios putting it all together, man. BodyNSoul Radio. If you ain't know so, now you know so. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, BodyNSoul Radio. Like the page, shout us out. We'll definitely follow you back. And without further ado, we bring to you BodyNSoul Radio.
Here it is.
Let's
get it.
So let's kick it off like that, man. Now, first and foremost, Rhetoryk, let them know who you are and how you got started, man. Let them know how much time you put in this thing called hip-hop, man.
All right. Well, like you said, the name is Rhetoryk. That's Rhetoryk. I got started. We was talking a little bit before we got started here tonight. I started out actually writing poetry, and that was around 11 years old. I really just clung to writing, clung to poetry. It really helped me get my thoughts out. I wasn't really close with my brother growing up, and that was my only sibling. So, I didn't really have anybody my age to talk to. Right. Didn't really have a father figure to relate to. So writing was my outlet. And from there, I had a cousin who was into rapping at the time, and he had equipment at his crib, and he invited me over to record. I was about 15, and that was the first time I ever recorded. We dropped a couple tracks on my Facebook. I put them on my Facebook videos, and I remember one of the first tracks that I did. It was over the Rihanna Rude Boy instrumental.
Okay.
And at the time, I wasn't going by Rhetoryk. I did not have that name, and I didn't have a name. My cousin had been calling me J-Rock. I was rocking with that, so I was going by J-Rock. And obviously, when I came across TDE, I came across J-Rock, and I was like, nah, I got to change it up.
Authenticity.
Switch.
And a little bit later, we'll talk about how I got the name Rhetoryk.
Okay.
But yeah, started out with poetry, recording at 15. I did not actually perform until I got up to Ball State. Freshman year, I was 18. First time I performed open mic, I did poetry.
Okay.
That was where I felt most comfortable, and I was shaking, bro. I had stage fright.
Word.
I had stage fright like a mug, and I had the paper in my hand. I didn't have the poem memorized, but it was a really personal poem. I knew that I was going to feel it regardless, and everybody just messed with it so much. You know what I'm saying? They showed me so much love, and it just really sparked my inspiration to want to perform more and to really, like, now I anticipate my performances. It's exciting for me. I still get those butterflies in my stomach, but, I know that I know what I've achieved with my performances, and I know that I'm only going to get better.
Okay. You touched a lot on poetry.
Yeah.
Can you give us do you feel like poetry and hip-hop are the same, or do you feel like they're different? We want to get your perspective on that.
And that's something I really struggled with starting out. I really kept my poetry separate from my music.
Okay. And
I feel like that's because I did not know where I wanted to go as an artist. I wasn't sure really, like, I listened to lyrical hip hop, but at that time, there was a wave of like mainstream music, dance music specifically, Soulja Boy, Franchise Boys, all that.
Right.
So I really wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it. And my cousin who got me into it, he was on that more mainstream type of vibe. Okay. So that's where I was rocking with when I first started out, and I really kept my poetry separate. The first track, I combined my poetry and my hip hop, and I will do that from now on because of this track, Beauty of Music, on my first mixtape.
Okay.
When I released that track, one of my good friends who I started rapping with, he mainly just freestyles, but he makes some good music too. And he called me like 8 in the morning about 5 times. I was asleep. I was knocked out. And I finally answered or called him back or something, and he was like, yo, like, I just checked out that Beauty of Music track. He was like, I played that like 3 times, man. Like, he was like, I really felt that shit, man. Like, the way you was flowing, like what you was saying, just the beat, everything, the poetry. I was like, man, like, I really appreciate that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that feedback, even if it's, you know, somebody who I know and who, you know, might be pumping my head up a little bit, I could tell he was genuine with it, though.
Right.
And that's what I messed with so much, like, when I get that genuine response. So that really hooked me into combining my poetry with my music. And I really define myself as more of a poetic, you know, spoken word type of artist now. And, you know, if you think about, you know, artists like Wale and J. Cole, they're
Absolutely.
really more poetic with their lyrics. And that's the type of artist that I really strive to be now. So I feel like now that I have owned in on my sound, I've owned in on where I want to go with it and what I want to do with it, I'm confident in combining my poetry with my music.
Okay. All right. So Beauty of Music.
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain the process of that record? Do you remember what you went through to create that record?
All right, so I wrote a poem, and it was called "To Live and Die" by Music.
Okay.
And I performed that poem up at Ball State at an open mic.
Brewers Hall?
No, it was actually Johnson B. or
Oh.
Johnson A.
Okay.
Johnson A. So I wrote that poem, and I think I just got to listening to a beat. I was listening to beats for my first mixtape. It was, my beat selection was kind of all over the place, but I knew I wanted a more hip hop vibe for it.
Right.
It was called Hip Hop Nation, so you know it had to be a hip hop vibe.
Okay.
I found the beat. It was just such a smooth, mellow beat, but like, I don't know, it just grabbed me, man, and I started writing to it. I didn't put the poetry in at the beginning or anything. I just started writing to it. And I think about halfway through, I was like, this would sound really good if I put some poetry in the front and maybe at the end of it. So I started going through my poems.
Right.
And I've actually done this with a couple other tracks too. But I went through my poems. I came across that one. And I just played the beat from the beginning. And I said the beginning of it over it. And I was like, that's perfect. It fits perfectly. It was so organic, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was probably a matter of about an hour, the whole thing, how it happened, me writing it, me coming across the poetry and fitting it in and putting it all together. I had a USB mic at the time, and I had Pro Tools on my laptop, so I recorded it right away.
Man,
and
humble beginnings.
Yeah, yeah. But it was, man, that's still one of my favorite tracks to this day.
Mr. Rice, you like you may have a question for Mr. Rhetoryk yet?
Well, I was listening to what he was saying, and all I could think about doing my research, listening to your music, as a whole, it was very personable. I could tell that you really, you know, go within. And then when you shared this evening, your affinity for poetry, and you mentioned, you know, possibilities of sharing some of that with us. And that's what I've been thinking about, really. I'm listening to you, but I'm like, man, now I'm anticipating hearing the poet Rhetoryk, because I've heard the MC Rhetoryk, and I enjoyed that, and enjoyed the ride and where that you took me in terms of hearing it. So I don't know when and where in terms of time where we are currently in this segment, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. So not really a question, but I'm definitely looking forward to that.
If that's possible, Rhetoryk, you think you could lay us down with a little poetry this evening?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
All right.
I'd actually planned
Keep my Body
on
and Soul
it, yeah.
exclusive, you know what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Well, we dropped a lot of poetic jewels right here in this first segment right here. So I want you to go ahead and just break down the process of this first record here. Roll up my sleeves.
The first record, it's basically talking about, you know, like everybody who sees me as an artist, their first question is, well, what are you doing with it? You know, where are you going with it? Are you making any money off of it? You know, like where is this taking you?
Right.
And this record is basically saying you just kind of got to watch me where I'm going, watch the actions that I'm making. I can't tell you what I'm going to do. I'm
Actions
gonna roll
only.
up my sleeves and I'm
There
gonna
you
do
go.
it. You know, so roll up my sleeves.
All right, without further ado, this is Roll Up My Sleeves off the Progress tape, Rhetoric, right here on BodyNSoul Radio. We'll be right back, so stay tuned.
Yes, sir.